All right, hey traders, TG Watkins here. It is March 1st, and man, we're finally in March. The seasonality of February, the second half of February being the weakest out of all the year. Hopefully, we are now past that, which we actually maybe started to see something because of the the turnaround that we got basically in the last hour of the day on Friday. So we'll walk through that and everything else. Just want to let you guys know I'm actually here in Winthrop, Washington. It's very cold this morning, but during the day it's pretty nice. They're having a hot air balloon festival, and so brought the family out here, having a great time. Just want to let you know I'm on my travel laptop making a quick video. So I'm only going to be doing the kind of overview of the markets and whatnot. Not going to do a Moxie special. The room pretty much knows what's going on there. Also, just the fact that I mean, we're in cash. We got a couple of trades on as far as stocks. Mostly we're trading, day trading, SPX, and doing a couple other small things like that. But yeah, I figured I'd let you guys see this. Now, this is the view out of the hotel. Like right now, I'm looking to my left, and this is what I see. This was this morning. We got that sunrise. You can just see some fog down here on the lower areas. Man, it was just absolutely gorgeous out in here. Yeah, that was the view out the window. And then I'll show you this. This was if I can zoom in this. This was a one-man hot air balloon. I've never seen something like this, other than the guy who was basically strapped a bunch of weather balloons onto a plastic chair. But this is crazy. I hope he has a seatbelt or something in there, but no basket, just a platform. He's got his tank and his burner, and it is a one-man hot air balloon. I thought that was pretty funny. So yeah, he got a lot of looks as he was going up there. But yep, that's what we're up to. So figured to give you guys a little bit of an update. This is how we can travel and still do work. All right, so this is going to be the list of the things that we go through today, basic market overview, and see what's going on. We had a heck of a turnaround today, actually Friday, and what I want to show you is if you come over to my X page, Twitter page, and check this out, this is something we got posted. So we did 2 trades on Friday with the SPX. The first one was a put credit spread, and where we put it on was right here. You can see this kind of lower section basically right off because the market actually opened down, and that was after Thursday afternoon, kind of getting a route to the downside. And so when it came down like this, I thought, okay, I don't think the market's going to go down that much further. You kind of have to think about, bulls versus bears going into the weekend. And I really the internals started to turn positive. I really thought we were that was it. So we put on a put credit spread. We did have about 70% gain up here, but I really thought this was going to come down and kind of go up a little bit further like that. And so by the time it came down here, I was like, ooh, this isn't looking very good. This was before the Zelensky news and everything else like that. But something wasn't going right. And so I said, oh, I think we need to get out of this. So we still made 50% gain. That's pretty nice for just, I don't know, was it an hour and a half worth of a move? And so we got out of that 50% gain, and thank goodness we did because, I mean, just look at that move afterwards. So good timing when we got out of that one, still cashed in a 50% gain on that day trade. And then the other one that we were looking at is I really kind of thought that the market was going to go higher. I was actually starting to think that Thursday, but the market said no, not today. But then by the time I saw what was happening Friday and everything else, and I'll show you guys the put call ratio and all that kind of stuff, I thought, okay, I think this is gonna, I think this is the low of the market. But then the Zelensky news, Trump and Zelensky get into an argument, that actually dropped the market a little bit further. We'll show you guys what that looks like. Before that happened, I actually had a bullish trade on here right there that was going to go until Thursday. So if you look here, this is the actual alert that we put on. So yeah, so what we did is we put on a call debit spread for Thursday, figuring, you know what, I was like, I think the bottom of the market's in, and usually when this happens, we get a pretty big pop to the upside. And then the market took off by the end of the day, and I was just like, you know what, we're going to the weekend. Let's sell half of it. We made 100% gain on this, so we doubled our money. We sold half of it, and we did that on a Friday when I was fully expecting this thing to take a few days next week to do it. So hey, when you get something like that just kind of shows up nicely, you go take it. So we did. All right, so yeah, Trump Zelensky, it seems like that was kind of overdone. I mean, look, they're having an argument, they're trying to end the war, whatever. So maybe the media is making something out of it. Okay, the market, did go down on that. And if you look, we'll kind of go down here, look at the lower time frames, and you can see, I think that was pretty much the news where they were arguing. And okay, and so that was kind of that rollover there, and it actually made new lows right there. You can see a nice little undercut. but it just, I was looking at things and we held on to it, and I thought, yeah, I just don't know how much further this is going to go down. Now, I certainly did not expect this kind of move by the end of the day. I was fully prepared to have Bryce just kind of come up here and maybe just kind of flatline by the end of the day. But we had already put on our trade for Thursday here, and then when we got this, hey, we just doubled our money. Let's cash some in. So that was pretty great. Very happy about that. And I think basically after the market, I think it was something like 7 or 8 days that the market was straight down. And going into not only the weekend, but also after being down for that many days and the end of February and end of the month, that kind of stuff, I think that the shorts, especially after the Trump Zelensky news, if the market didn't keep breaking down, it started to turn around and then it started moving this. And you could just see where the shorts or the bears started to scream. And you could see right above 5,900, people are like, oh my gosh, the market's closing in 30 minutes and we're starting to break new highs. I got to get out. They're getting stopped out. They're closing their positions, and this was a giant short squeeze into the end of the day on Friday, which was amazing. So very happy that that happened for us, and pretty thrilled about it. So if we kind of keep looking here, some of the other reasons why I was looking long by that day is it was just getting very oversold. You can also see here we're right back into a very, very major area level in through there. It turned out to be 58.50 or so, whatever it was. But we can also see that it's hitting the daily third ATR, and you can also see it's hitting this lower trend line. So there was kind of a trifecta on the daily chart of where price was and why I thought we were going to start turning back the other direction. I'll show you some other charts too that are kind of indicating that we're going to move up. You can't quite see it here on the SPX. I'll point out that there is positive divergence on the Moxie indicator, but it wasn't very clear until now. But if we look at other things, I can show you how that kind of looks. But I'm really enjoying these trend lines, especially this diagonal trend line. You can see, I think it was the DeepSeek news and the tariff news back here a couple weeks ago, how that trend line held, and look how the trend line is holding again. So that is a pretty impressive trend line right in through there. Then if we look at the NASDAQ, it's going to be basically the same story, just kind of in a different package. You can see here that came down to a certain level, things got kind of oversold, and we snapped back. And if you look here for, let me get my cursor just down there, right there. You can see if you look horizontally, there's a level, there's a level, there's a level, there's a level, there's a level. So again, kind of came into a huge support area. Market couldn't go lower, and if you can't go lower, then you bounce back the other way. You also hit that lower third ATR, and so we've got to bounce. Now, I am not confident that after this bounce, if the market's like totally ready to go up. I don't know that information yet. It's still too early. I am pretty sure that the market's going to be generally up for this coming week. I'm comfortable saying that. We are playing it bullishly. I do think the market's going to bounce back up for a few days. After this bounce, you got to kind of clear the decks again and stay nimble, because we just don't know if there's going to be lower lows after this. Okay, so just kind of one step at a time. We traded the downside, now we're trading the long side, and then we'll see what happens after that. If you look at the IWM, let's get rid of that. Yeah, this has been pretty tough. The small caps have also, growth versus value. Growth really got hit this last week, and you could see for the IWM, it just perfectly got rejected by the daily 50. And right where I thought the market was going to go up, right there, you can see price getting over the 50. It looked like the Moxie indicator was about to fire. Exactly at the point that the market needed to go up, it broke, and that was the end of the market. That was it. And so now here's actually the divergence that I can show you. See how price is down on the 15-minute? Notice how the Moxie indicator is up sharply, like right there. That's good divergence. And those of you who have the Moxie indicator, you know this, you study this that I show you. You see how the Moxie indicator is very spread? That's not very strong. Notice how the Moxie indicator here is very, very tight together. That's really strong. So you add the strong setup with the divergence. These were the things that I was starting to see basically Thursday into Friday. And I said, I think we're kind of nearing the lows. And sure enough, we got that turnaround and that bounce and that pop. The other thing, if we look at the FFTY, again, I like to look around the market, kind of look for clues. This is the IBD 50. So this is another growth sector. Definitely got smashed. This thing went from making new highs right here to totally getting smashed. So again, a little cautious out there as far as what the market's doing. We're taking this one step at a time. But look where it went, right back to a major level. So I thought, you know what, this thing looks like it's already pulled back to wherever it's going to go. It's probably going to start bouncing. You can see that there's basically a double bottom right there on the hourly. And then check this out. You can see that it did not make lower lows, even though the S&P made lower lows. You can also see, look at this divergence on the 15-minute time frame, okay? So I was looking around this and I was like, oh, this looks like it's ready to go up. I'm just waiting for the rest of the market to get the memo. So that's part of why I was starting to trade things to the long side, and sure worked out well for us on Friday, and I think it'll continue to work out well for us going into this week. Look at the Dow. This was also kind of the same thing. Look at this divergence. You can see here how basically, I'll say here that price is trying to find a level, and it did kind of start to break down a little bit. But if you look at this, you can say price down, look at the, again, the Moxie indicator up, look at that divergence. So these are small setups, but you can see that there's a fair amount of power in them because of how much pressure was coiled up in them after the week, since things were just so far down. And then SMH, you know, looking at the semiconductors, looking at NVIDIA, these are still pretty heavy. I really don't have too much to say about them. I'm not trading anything in this sector. So yes, of course, they're going to bounce a little bit with the market, but I don't know how much they're really going to bounce so crazy. This has just not been something I've been doing. You can see it's really also been range bound for quite some time. So yeah, just not too much to say here other than it got stretched to the downside with the rest of the market and it started to bounce. But I'm really just not trading anything in this sector. Okay, so then let's take a look at breadth. I want to show you guys this. Here's the other thing that I've been watching. And let me get my cursor. There we go. And if we look at this, you can see, look how much the market has come down. And this I find very interesting. We've been having really good detailed conversations about this inside of the Moxie room with some of the other subscribers. We got some really smart people in there, and people who are really dedicated to the craft of the market and stock trading. And we're all in there having a good time sharing ideas. And so if you guys are interested, come check it out. We have a 30-day trial for $7. We always get a lot of people coming in through there. Hopefully you guys stick and say hi. I also have a Moxie class coming up April 5th. It's going to be just the OG Moxie indicator, like how do you trade using the Moxie indicator. I'm going to be showing you guys soup to nuts, everything I do for the Moxie indicator on April 5th. So keep looking out for heads ups and webinars about that. But so anyway, look at how much the S&P has come down. Look how even 20-day breadth, yes, it's down, but look how it's mostly going sideways. Very, very interesting over the last few days. Again, we've been talking about this in the room, trying to figure out, like, man, this is kind of weird. The 20-day didn't really go down compared to the market going down. And one of the kind of leading thoughts that we're having about this is that in a time like this, we've seen that XLP and XLV are going up. You know, there are actually some sectors and some names that are going up. And so perhaps those sectors that are going up are offsetting the sectors that are going down, because growth is getting killed versus, you know, defensive consumer staples, you know, XLP, that kind of thing, getting killed. And so maybe that's why we're starting to see some of this neutrality, which again, kind of, it's a little bit rare that I tend to see something like this, but that's what's happening. And even on Thursday, I was on the mic and I said, hey, you know, I think the market's getting pretty close to a low, and I'm looking at the 20-day, I'm like, yeah, that's not really breaking lower. I have a feeling this is actually starting to find a bottom in through here. And sure enough, Friday we finally got that, and we kind of finally started to see a tick up. So I am expecting this to move up. The question is, do we get follow through? And again, one step at a time as far as this goes. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you is if we look at the put call ratio, bear with me a little bit on this. I don't have my typical chart that I have, but the one thing I want you to see that you'll take away from this is the put call ratio Friday morning. There it is, spiked to 1. Boom. There was our capitulation. That's the thing that we needed to look at. That was the thing that was helping us figure out that that was actually a bottom on Friday. So that's why we did the put credit spread. That's also why we started loading up on some FNGU and some Tesla and the market as a whole, and why we put on that call debit spread for Thursday, and we doubled and everything else like that. So this was all the different ingredients and recipes that I was looking at and said, you know what, I think this is the low. And then the whole Trump and Zelensky thing came out and kind of threw some cold water on that idea for a while, but then the market was able to shake it off, and then of course you see what happened by the end of the day Friday. So yeah, pretty exciting as far as that goes. Gosh, even the UVIX and the VIX This is pretty crazy. I mean, it really was looking like we might go into the weekend super heavy, and maybe even just keeps getting worse because we were still up here very, very high. Again, I don't have too much to say about this yet, other than you can see here support kept holding. So, the market was still under pressure because the UVIX was being supported and following these trend lines. And all I can say is, if next week, if we start to see this break down, then we've got some breathing room to the upside for the market. We need something like this to come down. So maybe it's kind of hit an upper range. I believe the VIX also got over 20, which is another sign. Actually, I think it just got over 20, like 22. You can see that's kind of a high point. If you actually look back here on the daily, you can see we don't, other than exceptions, we don't tend to go too far over 20, something like that. And that's another thing that might say that this could be a pretty secure near-term low in the market, and we should be bouncing. All right, FNGU, this is the leverage ETF of the FANG stocks. We bought into this on Friday. Had to take just like maybe 2 or 3% of heat and then turn back around. So pretty good about that timing and where we were. I mean, this just looks overdone and cooked to the downside. So we bought it there. We're looking for a pretty good bounce. This could have some pretty good moves to the upside. I mean, I'm looking for maybe a 17% move. We'll have to see if we get that, but that's what I'm looking for. And Tesla, say what you will about politics. I think this is more of a technical move. Maybe the whole Elon being close to Trump and political stuff. Hey, maybe that kind of greased some wheels to the downside. Sure, whatever. But I'm looking at this, and let's see. I'll have to bring this over. If you look, well, I can't get that screen on my laptop right now. But if you look at the monthly chart, Tesla has pulled back not only to a previous high. Looks like a previous high all the way back from June, July of 2023. And then it also pulled back to the monthly 10 SMA. It pulled back to the weekly 50 SMA. It's pulled back to the daily 200. It's pulled back to a lot of areas that I would consider to be probably support. And I think it's also oversold to the downside, just so if I look at my technicals and stuff. And so we actually bought in on the leveraged ETF of Tesla, TSLL, right here. And so we're up now a little bit. That looks good. This looks like a pretty good setup to me. You can see some volume came in at the lows, and I think that this is a place for hopefully a pretty serious bounce. I can't say that we're ready to go long yet as far as a swing trade, but as far as a few day bounce, I'm okay saying it's a bounce. All right, then the other thing, Bitcoin has definitely been having some struggles and problems. And let me actually see if I can switch this over to a different one because, oh, here's another thing. Sorry, I'm on my laptop, guys, so sorry if I'm getting a little bit waylaid here. Here's another way to look at what happened on Friday. We did come out of the gates. We had some strength in the morning. You can see here advanced decline, order flow, and all that stuff. That was looking pretty good. And then we got some more weakness throughout the day, and then just boom, look at that. Look at the order flow coming through here. I mean, this thing was crazy to the upside. You can just see all the stocks turning around. Really, really fantastic as far as that thing goes. So pretty cool, pretty happy to be seeing what was going on with the internals. But let me show you this with Bitcoin. It takes a second to load because futures are always slow. But what I want to show you on Bitcoin, a lot of people are saying like the uptrend is over, or if this wasn't having problems, that it would have resolved as a bull flag or something like that. If it was strong, it would have held there and go up. And I agree with that. Like, yeah, if things were looking pretty good right now across the board, sure, things should hold the weekly 21 and we go up like this. But I think that I'm not going to say I'm bearish, and I'm just saying, hey, it's not ready right now, but it could certainly be ready sometime in the future, because look what happened here. Here's another time where Bitcoin got really overbought, and look, it took 6 months to pull back and flag, and then look what it did. So yeah, I'm not going to say that the uptrend is over. I'm just going to say it's not ready right now. And the fact that it's actually come back down to what looks to be pretty good support on the monthly chart, and again, what I would consider support on the weekly chart, I think this is all looking pretty decent. And I think, again, it's pretty oversold. We'll have to see if this actually bounces with the market. I don't know if I'm ready to buy it yet. I do think we get a bounce, but I will then look for something else to tell us about some follow through. So just watch Bitcoin. I don't think it's necessarily like a defensive thing. I think Bitcoin is a risk on type asset, and when the market is happy and good and something like the small caps and risk on type stuff moves, it will move. And that's just basically how you have to trade it and think of it. So I don't think it's necessarily indicative of anything else. I'm hearing all sorts of stuff out there. I don't care about it. I will buy Bitcoin again. I'll buy stuff related to it again. But we have to be at the right time. That's it. So just, it broke, it broke 90,000 or something like that. Okay, big deal. I'm not in it. We'll wait till the next something and we'll buy it and we'll trade the next opportunity to move up. So just give it some time. All right, guys. Well, thanks again. Hope you're having a good time out there. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my weekend. I hope you guys are too. And remember, if you have any questions, come check me out on X, YouTube, whatever, and $7 trial for 30 days in the Moxie Room, simplertrading.com, and we'll see you there. Take care.